So I think one of the key things to remember here is to kind of follow through and remember that people have different motivations for attending attending class, and they also have different learning styles and how they like to receive information. So I think it's important to talk about those things. So anybody that came in March, you remember that we talked about this, right? As I had you guys introduce yourselves, I had you tell me whether or not you were a prisoner or a vacationer or an explorer for that day, okay? So I think it's kind of fun to go through there because the prisoner is the one that's usually sent by gunpoint, right? By the way, I signed you up for this class, now go learn. And you know what, that person is probably in class thinking, I got all this stuff on my desk, I could be doing something else besides here. These folks are a little bit, these are the hardest learners because they're there at gunpoint. They don't want to be there. They got other things they'd rather be doing. They can be non-participant. My old boss, he said, you know, I had this guy, he sits in the back of the room and I was doing this thing for this policy holder and I was cracking jokes and I'm trying to get people involved and everything else. And this guy just had his arms folded in the back, wasn't smiling. He says, I'm cracking jokes. He said, finally, I looked at the guy and I said, hey, listen, you know, anytime anything's funny, go ahead and feel free to laugh. And the guy looked at him and said, when you say something funny, I will laugh. Boy, tough crowd. It can be difficult for these folks. So there is a challenge to these guys because they're coerced in coming. They're not focused in on, they were forced to come, they're not sold on it. Then there's the vacationer, right? The main thing for them is avoidance of work. That's their motivation because you know what? I don't have to answer the phone here. And I get to socialize. I'm at a table and I've already met your needs. We got hot coffee, we got pastry, we've got fruit, we got all those kind of things. This is a vacation. Anywhere is better than work. Class time equals not having to deal with that. But these folks can, and I won't say, and I really hate this comment really, because I don't find them to be necessary class clowns. But you can get some people that get kind of full of themselves in the class that would maybe fall into this, and they're just enjoying themselves so much they don't realize that they become a distraction to a certain extent. But most don't do this. But they can, based on the fact that, you know, well, it just depends on how things are that particular day. But what they really enjoy is they're just here and they're enjoying life and they enjoy participating with other folks, okay? They might be motivated to learn if they find the information to their liking. And then the explorers, this is the best group, right? Because they're here for the right reasons. Came to class to learn something new, they're eager to learn, they usually volunteered to come. They want the additional information, so that's what they're there for. They want more knowledge. They want to have that extra additional information. They want to know how they can do things different. They want some new ideas and concepts, and this is great. Just give me just anything you can give me in there, and they'll just keep eating it up, okay? And those are the people that we want to see everyone turn into. So if you have a goal as an instructor, the idea is that you want to help everyone find their inner explorer. That's what you want them to be. You want everyone to turn into an explorer. Even if they're there at gunpoint, you want them to be able to enjoy themselves, participate, and understand that you're going a particular direction with them, okay? Now, again, I date myself because I sat at my desk for the hardest time, I thought, trying to think of somebody that's motivational, okay? And I thought, you know, how often I throw up a football coach and you guys are all going, yeah. So I left that out. I thought I wouldn't go sports this time. So I was trying to think of who I would consider a very motivational person. You know, I thought about the Tony Robbinsons and those kind of things. I thought, you know, I'm not really into that. To serve with love. You know, so when I thought about it, he ended up with a whole bunch of prisoners. And by the time he was done, they were actually involved and they were listening to the message that he had to send. And I think if there's anybody that exhibits what I'm talking about as far as a goal of getting people changed around and headed in the same direction with you, I think this would be the case. There are different learning styles. And those different learning styles are kind of like, now, I want to preface it this real quick. I hate classifications. I don't like to be classified. I know you guys don't like to be classified. And this is what we have a tendency to do in our society is we classify people. So when I put this up here, I don't want you guys to think that you're just a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3 or a number 4. I just want to get across to the idea that, look, we have a little bit of all 4 of these in us. We just have differences in levels, okay? I'm a strong 1. But I have a lot of 2 and 3 in me, and I have a little bit of 4. And so if you were really to go through this, you got to go through the company that's involved with this is About Learning, Inc. And so this is their concepts of different learning styles. So number ones are the why folks, okay? They like the innovation and the ideas. They want you to classify the value of what we're giving them. They need to understand, how will this affect what I'm doing in business? How will this improve things? Because all I need is a concept and I can run with the concept. I just want to feel like, where are we going with this, okay? The other thing is these guys just like to be involved with the conversation. They like to be involved in making those decisions and understanding where we're going with this. But they also like to have harmony in the group. They don't like conflict. And so generally what will happen is if you see these guys in a group that you're discussing things with, they'll actually try and bring people out. You know, if someone's not responding or hasn't made a comment, they'll reach out and try and get that person involved in the conversation, because that's really what they like to have, is they like to have people that are involved. They like harmony in their group. They like to have a good discussion. The number twos are the what folks. And these guys, they like the innovation and the ideas, but they want this put into, they need to create concepts and models. How is this going to affect us, and what does it exactly look like? These are also the people that will not just push off to go somewhere. We have to stop what you're doing. We're not going anywhere until we figure step by step how we're going to proceed with this process. We're not going to we're not just going to take off without plans. We're going to have this planned out going forward. Intellectual recognition is what they're looking for. They want to understand the concept. They want more than just the idea. They want to know how exactly it fits together. The threes, these guys are the how-to folks. They practice the application of ideas. They garner information from actually doing hands-on stuff. They like to play with it. It's like a puzzle piece to them. They got to put it together, see how it works. But you do this, they like more of that guided experience, if you will. They like to have that so that, first you give me a little bit of 1, 2, and then just, give me some guided practice here so I can kind of play with it and see how it fits together. They like to have align their view of the present with future security. In other words, okay, that's fine. We got the concepts and we got the idea, but I need to know how this works. And physically, I got to see it put together first. And then the fours, not a lot of people are heavy on four. They might have a little bit of fours, but fours are those abstract people that really like working by themselves, and they don't want a lot of instruction. They just want you to give it to them so they can tear it apart and see how it works and put it back together if they have to. But they need to break it down, and they need to play with it, and they really need to do some independent playing with this, practice stuff with this, okay? So they really need to look at this a little bit differently. So when you look at putting this together, if you're doing training, you really want to address all four types of learners if you can. So if you think about it this way, it's kind of like dinner, okay? So first of all, you work with the why people. That's the salad, that's the hors d'oeuvres, okay? You're giving them a taste of what you're talking about and those ideas and those innovations. Then you come down here to the what folks, and this is where you put the main course in for them, okay? You give them the meat and the potatoes of how everything fit together. And then you get over to the how folks, and this is dessert time, okay? So you've given them all the other food. Now they can sit down and enjoy and kind of play with it and see how things fit together. By that time, when you get to the fours, you actually create time that they can get away from the rest of the group, and they go back to their offices or they go back to their cubicle or wherever they work. They can take that information, and they have now additional time that they are independent from everyone else, and now they can kind of take and actually play a little bit harder with it and see how things kind of fit together, okay? So you kind of, when you plan these things, you want to try and hit as much as you can of each one of these groups, okay?